I'm Insomniac, and this is the Seiko Solar V115-0BC0.
You feel the vibe.
Okay, so shout out to the grumpy old Marine wannabe, that's his nickname, for sending this watch in, as well as the next watch that I believe is coming up for review. He also sent that in, so thank you very much. If you have any watches you want to see reviewed here on the channel, email me at shoulditimethis@gmail.com. I'll tell you where to send the watches. They'll be reviewed, insured, and sent back. Also, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell. I have a lot of new watch reviews coming up soon. I don't want you to miss them. So this is a discontinued watch. I don't normally review discontinued watches, but number one, you can still find these used on eBay and other sites for reasonable prices, and B, I thought this watch was more than interesting for us to take a look at, and being that you can still get them pre-owned, it is a watch that you can get. I'm not a fan of reviewing watches that you get to look at it on screen and then you never get to get one. And without spending an entire review making comparisons between this and the Cartier Tank, here is a screenshot. There we go. I'll put it here on screen of the Cartier Tank, at least, you know, one of the many variations. And as you'll see in the review, clearly this looks very familiar. There you go. Let's jump into the review. We have a steel case on this watch, finished in a polished gold tone, and it's a small, neat case, both in size and design. Slim height, small borders around the dial, short lugs. It almost appears as more of a dial frame rather than a case. Everything here is very angular. It's essentially just a gold rectangle. Although from above, you see that the sides of the case have the slightest outward bevel on either side, and from the side you have simple curves from the tops of the case sides to the tops of the lugs. Case back is a simple snap-on type done in a vertical brushed stainless steel with various information about the watch lightly engraved into it. Last but not least, we have the crown, done in a gold tone that matches the case with a small dome on the crown's face. The issue with this crown is the size. Now, given the watch's overall thickness of only 6mm and the fact that the movement is set low in the case, I understand that a small crown needed to be used here, but at only 4mm in diameter, even with regular sized fingers, it's hard to manipulate this crown to set the time, so if you have some big sausage fingers, just forget it. There's nothing you could do, sell it. Overall though, a classic, clean, and simple case. If you like a square dial, you'll appreciate this one. A clean white backdrop with subtle vertical striping, which I believe is the solar element of the dial that absorbs the light to power the watch, but feel free to correct me in the comments if that's incorrect. Even though the subtle vertical line pattern has a functional purpose for this watch, it actually gives the dial a bit of texture, and does so in a classy way. Over that clean backdrop, you have black printing and tiny gold dot markers. Now this is the one area other than price where I will make a comparison to the Cartier Tank that this Seiko is modeled after, the minute track. If you notice in the picture of the Cartier Tank that I put up earlier, that watch uses a smaller set of Roman numerals for the hours and has a slightly larger minute track. And sadly, Seiko's take on that layout comes with a clear disadvantage. The minute track is so small in this watch that it's barely usable. The only small consolation here are those tiny gold dot markers, which help you mark the 5-minute intervals. The inner part of the dial has Seiko and Solar printed on the dial in a clean, easy to read font. And last but not least, we have the hands. Just a simple hour and minute setup, and I like the fact that the center section of the hands that connects to the stem are done in that gold tone to match the little dial markers and the case overall. Adds another small unique touch to Seiko's version of the Tank. The hands themselves are black, they're a nice shape that complement the dial design well, and they're a great length for this dial. Overall, it's a clean, simple, elegant dial. Time at a glance on this watch is almost perfect. Despite the small dial size, the black hands and black printing over the white dial give you perfect contrast. The length of the hands is excellent, and the slim width of the hands and sharp tips give you a clear picture of where the hands are pointing. The small issue is that minute track again. It's not impossible to see which minute index the hand is on, but you really have to get an eyeball up in there to be sure you're telling the time to the minute. Overall though, it's easy to tell the time on this watch with a quick glance. Not much needs to be said here for accuracy. It's a Seiko with a solar quartz movement. It has been perfectly accurate in the weeks that I've had it here, as expected. The strap on this watch is actually very nice. And if you watch this channel regularly, you know that I'm not a fan of alligator pattern leather straps usually. But this slightly glossy alligator pattern leather strap is done subtly enough that it adds texture to the strap without screaming fake alligator strap. The strap has a decent thickness, yet it's pliable and comfortable throughout the day, and the strap overall, as well as the gold tone buckle with the Seiko brand engraved into it, looks perfect with this watch overall. I think it was a great choice for this watch. So one of the many reasons why the Cartier Tank has been so popular for what, now a century, is its simple yet elegant design and its handsome simplicity. And this Seiko has that. It won't appreciate like a Cartier Tank, but keep in mind that depending on the year and the variation of case and dial, a Cartier Tank's gonna run you anywhere from $3,500 to the stars for something of a similar case and dial. This watch, although discontinued, can be found as of the time of this video on eBay and other aftermarket retail sites for around $300. So if you want the tank aesthetic with a reliable movement from a brand that's obviously well known for quality, then I actually think this is a great value at that price. So another big shout out to the grumpy old Marine wannabe for sending this in. I actually wanted to take a look at this. I have reviewed at least one other Seiko Solar on this channel. That was a nice piece, and this is a cool take on the Cartier Tank, an affordable version of anyway. If you have this watch or any watch you'd like to talk about at all, leave a comment down below, let everybody else know what you think of it, and I will see you all at the next review.